Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Community in Action Materializing Hope event. My name is Takia Jones, and I'm a senior at Western Washington University, and I'm a communications major. Thank you. I also happen to be the Marketing and Communications Director for the Black Student Coalition, as well as President of the Black Student Union at Western. Thank you. I'm so ecstatic to be one of your MCs for this community event featuring local change makers and our very own keynote speakers, Isabella McFrazier and Brian Young.
Hello, my name is Emmy Hansen. I am a Running Start student at Whatcom Community College, as well as the president of the Black Student Union. Thank you. This event is brought to you by the Community Consortium for Cultural Events. Organizing institutions include Western Washington University, Bellingham Public Schools, yeah, give it up, City of Bellingham, Bellingham Technical College, Whatcom Community College, Northwest Indian College, and Peace Health. We also recognize that many leaders in our community are here today. To our education, city, and community leaders in the room, please stand if you are able to so we can appreciate you.
All right. To help get us centered in this space and bring our community together, please welcome Western alum Nathaniel Gaines. Nate will be performing the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, which was written by James Weldon Johnson and arranged by John Rosamond Johnson. Following Nate's performance, Dr. Cislina Ledbetter, Associate Vice President for Counseling, Health, and Wellness at WWU, will give our land and labor acknowledgments. If you're able, please stand for Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. And facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won.
Thank you, Nate. And I also want to just introduce Dr. Cislina to give the land and labor acknowledgments.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Hello. That's not a rhetorical question. Hello. Awesome. So there are events like this going on all over the country. Take a moment, even though the lights are dim, to just notice and look at the people that are in this room that you're sharing space with. Take a look at them. Isn't it a beautiful room? It's a beautiful room, isn't it? But I'm not going to just keep talking. I'm going to do what I was tasked to do. I acknowledge that we gather today on the ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish peoples who have lived in the Salish Sea Basin throughout the San Juan Islands and the North Cascades watershed from time immemorial. Please join me in expressing our deepest respect and gratitude for our indigenous neighbors, the Lummi Nation and Nooksack tribe, for their enduring care and protection of our shared land and waterways. Further, we acknowledge and honor the struggle, survival, determination, forced assimilation, and resilience of those who toiled over this land. We recognize the knowledge, skills, and labor, and the shared legacy of ancestors who were kidnapped and experienced forced displacement from indigenous, immigrant labor, enslaved peoples who were abducted from and brought unwillingly to the US from Africa, to whom we remain indebted. In this legacy, our people continue to work, struggle, succeed, and die for our collective benefit. We acknowledge all forced labor, voluntary, involuntary, documented and undocumented, paid and unpaid, who have contributed to the building of our institutions and this country. Our work going forward is about disrupting, dismantling, rebuilding, and improving systems and structures that do not serve us all. We acknowledge that systems of oppression that built this land directly oppose these ends. We uplift our ancestors and honor and respect the legacy that they left. We honor our teachers, elders, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, and fellow community members in our quest to live free and establish a more peaceful and just world. Ubuntu. We are because they are. One love, one humanity, one creator. Thank you.
Thank you again, Nate and Dr. Cislena, for helping center us in this moment of community. Like all of you, many of our volunteers and speakers are staff and students, honoring the call to action by the late Congressman John Lewis, making this a day on, not a day off, to commemorate this important day. I now want to invite Danita Kelly, Darren McCroom from Western Washington University, and Deborah Beniza from the City of Bellingham. They are members of the MLK Service Planning Committee who will be reading a portion of Dr. King's What is Your Life Blueprint, a speech that he had given on October 26, 1967, to students at Barrett Junior High School in Philadelphia. As you listen and reflect on the words of Dr. King, we invite you to also watch the video presentation of artwork collected from the students of Happy Valley Elementary. Their artwork portrays their hopes for the future of our beloved community. Please welcome Danita, Darren, and Deborah.
I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint. And that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide, as the model for those who are to build the building. And a building is not well erected without a good, sound, and solid blueprint. Now, each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth, and always feel that your life has ultimate significance. Now that means you should not be ashamed of your color. You know, it's very unfortunate that in many instances, our society has placed a stigma on the Negro's color. You know there are some Negroes who are ashamed of themselves. Don't be ashamed of your color. Don't be ashamed of your biological features. Somehow you must be able to say in your own lives and really believe it, I am Black, but beautiful. And believe that in your heart. And therefore, you need not be lured into purchasing cosmetics advertised to make you lighter. Neither do you need to process your hair to make it straight. I have good hair, and it is as good as anybody else's in the world. And we've got to believe that. Now, in your life's blueprint, be sure that you have a principle of somebodyness.
Secondly, in your life's blueprint, you must have a basic principle, the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You're going to be deciding as the days and years unfold what you will do in life, what your life's work will be. And once you discover what it will be, set out to do it and do it well. As I say to you, my young friends, that doors are opening to each of you. Doors of opportunity are opening to each of you that were not open to your mothers and your fathers. And the great challenge facing you is to be ready to enter these doors as they open. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great essayist, said in a lecture in 1871 that if a man can write a better book or preach a better sermon or make a better mousetrap than his neighbor, even if he builds his house in the woods, the world will make a beaten path to his door. This hadn't always been true, but it will become increasingly true. And so I urge you to study hard, to burn the midnight oil. I would say to you, don't drop out of school. And I understand all the psychological reasons why we often drop out of school. But I urge you, in spite of your economic plight, in spite of the situation that you're forced to live so often with intolerable conditions, stay in school. And when you discover what your life is going to be, set out to do it as if God Almighty called you to this particular moment in history to do it. And just don't set out to do a good Negro job, but do a good job that anybody could do. Don't set out to be a good Negro doctor, a good Negro lawyer, a good Negro school teacher, a good Negro preacher, a good Negro barber, a beautician, a good Negro skilled laborer. For if you set out to do that, you are already flunked your matriculation exam for the entrance into the University of Integration. Set out to do a good job and do that job so well that the living, the dead, and the unborn couldn't do it any better. If it falls to you to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo paints pictures, sweep streets like Beethoven composed music, sweep streets like Leontyne Price sings before the Metropolitan Opera, and sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his drop well.
And finally, if your life's blueprint must be a commitment to the eternal practices of beauty, love, and justice, don't allow anybody to pull you so low, not to make it so that you hate yourself, or hate them, sorry. Don't allow anybody to cause you to lose your self-respect to the point that you do not struggle for justice. However young you are, you have a responsibility to seek to make our nation a better place in which to live. You have a responsibility to seek to make life better for everybody. And you so must be involved in the struggle for freedom and justice. Now in this struggle for freedom and justice, there are many constructive things that we all can and must do. And we must not give ourselves to those things which will not solve our problems. If you've heard the word nonviolent and you've heard the word violent, I happen to believe in nonviolence. We struggled with this method with young people and adults alike all over the South. And now we've won some significant victories. And we've got to struggle with it all over the North because the problems are as serious in the North as they are in the South. But I believe as we struggle with these problems, we've got to struggle with them with a method that can be militant, but at the same time does not destroy life or property. And so our slogan must not be burn, baby, burn, but it should be build, baby, build. Organize, baby, organize. Yes, our slogan must be learn, baby, learn. So that we can earn, baby, earn. With a powerful commitment, I believe that we can transform dark yesterdays of injustice into bright tomorrows of justice and humanity. Let us keep going towards the goal of selfhood, towards the realization of the dream of brotherhood, towards the realization of the dream of understanding and goodwill. Let nobody stop us. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, please keep moving. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Darren, Danita, and Deborah, for reading that inspiring speech, and thank you to the students of Happy Valley Elementary for this wonderful artwork. Dr. King may have intended that message for the youth, but the lessons present ring true for each and every one of us. Whether you're just learning how and why to engage in activism, you're a well-seasoned advocate for change and justice, or you're someone that's looking to rejoin the fight for equality, it's important to keep in mind that every moment holds the opportunity to become the perfect moment to make an impact in your community. Whether you're able to recognize it in the moment or not, every small or big act is transformative in its own unique and varying ways. Now, as we shift our focus, our keynote speakers will engage in an intergenerational conversation for advocacy, engagement, and community. Brian Young and Isabella McFrazier come from different generations, different experiences, and different backgrounds. Yet their light, laughter, leadership, as well as their overall amazingness, bring them together in a shared narrative about materializing hope and community into action.
Mr. Young is an educator, coach, and a local entrepreneur. He has degrees and certifications from Towson University, Peninsula College, and Eastern Washington University. He currently teaches business marketing and culinary arts at Squalicum High School, and nutrition and wellness at Seaholm High School. He is also the head football coach at Seaholm High School. In the community, he is an announcer at Western, a public speaker, and owner of Bellingham Graphics and Forever Young Island Oasis. Isabella McFraser is an alumnus of Seaholm High School, a current freshman at Western Washington University. She was raised in Hawaii on Maui and moved to Bellingham when she was in middle school. As a student right here at Seaholm, she was a valuable student leader who organized students and staff of color, founding the Young Multiracial Society, a student organization that holds space for diverse cultures within the school and broader community. At Western, Isabella is studying environmental science and conservation. She plans to use her degree to advance understanding and application of integrated Western and Indigenous stewardship practices in order to influence the future of conservation and shape the future landscape of environmental justice. So anyway, she's no big deal. So Isabella and Brian, I hope you're ready. I know we're ready. Please give it up for Isabella and Brian.
I like to take my time. Sorry about that. Well, how's everybody doing? Right? So I want to give a disclaimer to you guys so you guys understand something. When we speak today, we are not speaking for every person of color in this country. We're just speaking from our own experiences. Some of it may be very relevant to some of you. Some of it may be an education piece for some of you. Hang on, you guys. We're getting cued to use the mic. Is it on? Okay, so, and I'm saying that disclaimer because I want you guys to understand this is our experience we're willing to share with you. You have your own experiences, and they're all just as valuable as ours, but we are going to give you this in an authentic fashion. So sit back and let's go take a ride and let's improve hope and let's improve our relationships as human beings on Dr. King's holiday.
Very well said. I second all of that. I don't have any extra. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. So the theme for this is hope, you guys, right? So the mindset in here is let's not get bitter, let's get better. So we're going to take that approach to everything we do and say, right? So one of the things when Isabel and I first got together, we just started talking about, well, what's our platform? What can we start this off with? And so the easiest thing to start this off with is, what's your general everyday experience going through life as a biracial woman who is viewed by America as a black woman typically? What's that like for you? Just every day, getting up, going out into the public, and just managing to survive that day and get to the next day.
Yeah, thank you. It's hard. Living in Bellingham is interesting. Bellingham is a community of people who are very loving, and I feel that energy everywhere that I go here, and I have since I moved here. But as loving as a community can be, it doesn't erase the fact that there is a certain part of my identity that is, it's right in your face, right? You know, no one's gonna assume I'm a white woman. I'm seen as black, and that's great. I have a lot of pride in my black heritage, but I also have a completely, 60% DNA different, what are they called? Ethnicities. I have so many ethnicities, and I have pride in all of them. And so having to walk around and only be seen as one of them can be really difficult. It definitely, it causes me to want to seek community in those who look like me and in those who understand that experience of walking around and, you know, a good example is my hair. I did not start wearing my hair like this until I was in 10th grade, maybe 11th, because I had a teacher here at Seahome, Mariette, and she has big, beautiful blonde locks, and she encouraged me every day. She said, Isabel, I see you. I see your hair. I want you to wear it down. I want you to shake it out. And, you know, my mom's been telling me that since I was 5 years old, you know, shake out your hair, let it be. But it takes people in the community letting you know that they see you and that they think you're beautiful sometimes to find that self-love within. So it took a long time for me to be able to do that, and to love my fro and to love the way that I look, because there is stigma around, you know, being a Black person, and you see the way Black people are treated in the country, and that makes it difficult to want to live in that sometimes. But then you also see the joy and the pride of the Black community, and I think that's so beautiful. So I have a lot of pride in all of my identities.
Well, thank you for that. Okay, so to give you guys some background on me, I'm from the East Coast, and that's where I grew up. So initially when I came to Bellingham, I thought it was a government experiment. I had never seen a community that was so lopsided one way. And I would scratch my head. I would talk to my friends back home and I'd say, I think they put stuff in the water here. See how it affects everybody and then get it out to the rest of us. What I found was the community in and of itself was intrigued. They didn't really understand how I communicated, because even my wife will tell you the way we communicate on the East Coast is a little bit more direct. It's a little bit more straightforward. Now, there's a ton more diversity. I have students right now who tell me I'm the first teacher they've seen who looks like me. But that was from the time I was in kindergarten that I saw that. So that wasn't even a situation of realization. And growing up on the East Coast, you learn little things about how the world sees you as a male. And it's different for males and females. For example, when I get into a car, I have to have the thought process, take my hat off. Because I don't want a police officer to see me, mistake me for something, pull me over, and then I'm at one of the most dangerous points in my life. Now, do I let that regulate what I do and say? No, because I'm going to go through my life being fearless. I'm going to go through my life doing good and trusting God and know that everything will play out like it should. But that's a reality for me, right? So what I do with it is I say, hey, I can either use my voice to uplift or I can use my voice to continue to complain and spin my wheels. So I've chosen to step out, get into education, coach football, do things that will put me out front so that young men and women of color, as well as people who aren't people of color, can see an example of what it can be, what it should be, and what it can morph into if it's given a chance to grow with a level playing field.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's so important to be able to step out into a leadership position like that. Like you heard before, I'm an alumni of Seahome High School, and I founded the Young Multiracial Society here, which is a club for students of color, students and staff of color, to come together and build community. And I had to create that space for myself because I didn't see it. I didn't see it being made for me or for other students. And so I had to step up and do something about it because I was tired of, sitting with that feeling. Why is there no recognition, Black History Month? Why are we not talking about it? So during COVID years, when we were doing online learning, I had to reach out to someone about that and create my own community within Seahome. And it's still going. I've graduated and I have little ones who are still taking over, and they're doing another Ebony Gala. We did an Ebony Gala last year for the first time ever. That was amazing. It was like Black prom kind of, but I had a bunch of students come up to me and be like, "Is it only for Black people?" I was like, no, everyone can come, celebrate, join in the celebration of Black history and of Black culture. So I think that's beautiful.
And I think that's relevant. In case you guys don't know, like at Squalicum High School, we just had our MLK assembly. And initially, the kids of color didn't really want to speak because in their mind, they're like, we don't want to stand out. And part of that not wanting to stand out, even though I sat down with them all and said, hey, there's 15 of you in the school, you stand out anyway, right? But part of that is because they didn't know who they were, right? And if you don't know who you are, then you don't know who you are not. So my first thing was to sit down with them and say, hey, you're not just an athlete, you're not just an entertainer. Let me tell you who you are. You are Crispus Attucks, the first man to die in the American Revolution, who was of Native American and Black descent. You are Benjamin Banneker, who through memory was able to redraw the diagram for Washington, D.C. And you are Dr. Martin Luther King. And by the way, when I gave that speech, the first thing I said is look to your left and look to your right. And I would say the same thing in this room. If you look to your left and you look to your right and you see anyone other than a white male or a person that we identify in this society as that, you're his legacy. You are the living legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He didn't just do it for people of color. Now, we just happen to be the ones that were being oppressed the greatest. No other culture has strange fruit. And if you don't know what that is, they would hang people of color at picnics. Little kids would watch it. This was what they did. It was sport at the time. Dogs biting you, hoses being sprayed. All of that is part of the legacy of this country. But we can overcome that legacy by sitting back and starting to realize all we have to do is each person move the needle a little bit forward. Dr. King died for it. Certainly if he gave his life, you can give a few minutes to be kind to a person, whether they look like you or not, to promote love, to promote nonviolence. That would be probably to me the minimum and an expectation that everyone in this room should want to be a part of.
Where is the needle now compared to where it was when you were younger, Brian?
Well, I think it just depends on what your perspective is, right? Feelings aren't facts. So the first thing that I always look at are, what are the facts? We still see there's a great injustice within our criminal justice system, employment numbers, things of that nature. But again, I don't get better, I get better. You need to be a person that does something about that. So how do you do something about that? Well, I stood up and said, hey, if I want to help the situation, I got to get involved. So I became an educator. And just being able to do that, I get to impact different kids from different cultural backgrounds. And if one kid who looks like me says, hey, I want to be a teacher, wow, we just moved the needle, right? Things should be measured, to me, in small victories. Because out of the small things come the biggest things. When you crawl, you then get up and you learn how to walk, but you fall and you fall and you fall. And then eventually one day you run. The Olympics are about to come up. Some of those people are running are going to be the fastest humans in the world. Don't despise small beginnings. They all started off just like we did. So I look at small victories and I think about the stories that my great-grandparents and my grandparents would tell me. And if you don't know, my great-uncle, Dr. Eugene McGowan, was the first African-American psychologist at the University of Delaware. He corresponded with Dr. King through letters. So this is what I grew up with. And I saw what he went through, heard the things that he went through, some of the horrific atrocities, and I understand, and remember when I told you starting this, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this so that you can move forward. I know my daughters are in here right now. I'm doing it so they can move forward, right? And so I celebrate small victories. And I look at those small victories as, okay, we got that one done, on to the next thing. And I think that's what it really has to be. We spend a lot of time complaining, griping. Hey, we all know what the problem is. I'm a result-driven person. What can I do to make it better? What can you do as an individual to make it better? It might just be looking at your child and explaining something to them so that when they go out there in the world and hear the negative impact of it, they can stand up to that. It might just be giving them a hug and saying, hey, just like you are perfect in every resolve, right? But it's just being positive, and it is better. Now, it couldn't have got much worse. Let's just say that what it is. But it is better. And steps in the right direction need to be celebrated. Are we there yet? No, we are not there yet. But we're moving in the right direction. And we need to continue to move in the right direction.
And it has to come, now get ready for this one, it has to come from the oppressor. The people that are oppressed can only rise up and get better if the oppressor allows them that space to do so. And so we have to look at you. And when I say oppressor, I don't mean, I'm not blaming you. What I'm saying is if you are the status quo, if you are the majority, if you are the one in charge, nobody who is being held under that can get better until you step aside and give them a space. You lose nothing, you gain everything. Could you imagine where this country would be if collectively we had taken all the knowledge, the wisdom, the education, the cultural advantages of every culture here? Oh my gosh, as good as this country is, we could be so much better together.
So I'm glad today is a day of service. I think that's really important. I think everything Brian says rings true. I think service is every day. Your service is the way that you treat people around you, as well as what you do in your community. Your service is when you leave your house every day, how do you treat people who look different from you? How do you bring people up with you instead of stepping on people to get where you need to be? You know, I think it's really important for us to have community. Thank you all so much for being here. It's so beautiful to see. And this is the community that we're talking about when we say that, you know. All of us can hold each other accountable and in love with each other to move the needle forward and to continue doing that. I think that I probably reap a lot of benefits that BY did not have growing up, you know? So I would say that I have a lot of hope. We are moving in a direction that is really beautiful. I think I don't have to be as concerned about certain aspects of racism and institutional oppression in the exact same way that they did 50, 60, 70 years ago. And it's getting better, and it's continuing to move forward. Now, what I want to see is, I want to see more representation. That's what becomes important to me when we start to get past this point. Okay, so we're moving away from awfulness, and we're coming towards something new. And how do we continue to build that? And I think that that starts with representation. I hope that every student of color who walks into Seaholm in the years following me feels a sense of pride and safety when they see that there is a space for them to be held with each other, that there is a space for them to celebrate their own cultures and their own communities within this space where they don't see people who look like them all the time. I want every student to be able to feel that way. And eventually, I want every student to be able to look at their American history class and say, Black history is American history. Black history, thank you. Yeah, it is. There's no reason to extrapolate parts of history and move them to a whole other month to talk about. It is all one history. It moves linearly, you know, if you think of time as linearly, which some people don't, but you know, that's how it goes. And Black history is American history, and I want that integrated into the school system. I want to learn about all of the Black scientists, just like how I learn about all of the white scientists. And so that's what I hope for the next step for this country, and I think that that takes a lot of hard work. I think that takes active work. We can't be passive anymore. There's no more time for passiveness. It's time to act, and it is time to hold each other accountable, and it is time to move forward. And I have a lot of hope that we're going to do that. I see that all the time. I'm so grateful for the Bellingham community. My parents moved here when I was born, and at that time, I don't think they held events like this. I don't think we had cultural holdings for people, for us to talk about our experiences. And I'm so grateful that we do now. I've been to so many events in the last 3 years that are just to celebrate the culture of the people around us, and I think that that is so beautiful. And let's continue to do that. So thank you, Bellingham, for doing that. Yeah, you guys are great.
So I think one of the things, especially when we talk about hope, is so for us as a community, it used to be years and years and years ago, the racial atrocities would be public. They would hold them, you would see them on TV. And I was telling you about that. You would see these things. So you kind of saw that die away. And then, of course, the George Floyd thing. And you're like, oh, my gosh, like this is crazy. But you see the racism or the injustice now becoming subtle. It's, we're not going to give you a job, and we're going to find a reason not to give you that job. Or we are going to stack the deck against you and then give you a deck of playing cards and say, you can't win. And then say, well, you're not smart enough to do it. So what really needs to happen is people need to begin to interact with people who don't look like them more. So I would challenge all of you to say, when is the last time you spoke to a person from another culture? Where you just sat down and said, hey, you know what? I don't know much about who you are, but I'd like to know. And be fearless. I would look at anyone who identifies themselves as a white person. You come up and talk to me. If you say something that's inappropriate, I'm not going to lose my mind. I'm going to go, hey, that's not really how you say that. Let me talk about how you do that. So my wife has been with me. We were in Palm Springs one time walking down the street. There were a couple of older white ladies walking, coming at us. And the one that was closest to me grabbed her purse and moved it to the other side of her body. And see, I'm just who I am. So I'm looking at her going, one lady, if I want to take your purse, you ain't gonna stop me, right? But I did the same thing. I put my hand on my wallet and stared at her like I was crazy too. Right? But it just reminded me of the ignorance of people, because I could walk away from that and go, you know what, that lady has never probably sat down with a person that looks like me at all and had a conversation, right? And I watched this evolve, even with my wife. She's up there somewhere, she's awesome, but her parents grew up in structured racism. That's what it was. And just through being married to her and talking with her family, I'm like, hey, I did my job. I sat down with a person that didn't know, and now they're some of the most awesome people on the planet. But a lot of it is just conversation, right? You don't know what you don't know. Take a risk. Have a seat, right? I do really well with kids in school, and half of it, I think they just sit down and go, oh my God, I've never seen a person like this. I've never talked to a person like this. And what they find out is, I get down, I get disappointed, I get upset, I get happy, I cheer, I cry, just like they do. And as soon as I become BY the person and not BY the black teacher, all of a sudden, I become human, right? And remember, we put labels on each other in this country to dehumanize each other. And I was telling Isabella this, if I call someone from another culture a savage and I do something wrong to them, I say, oh, well, they're a savage. But as soon as I say, hey, that's Bill or Mike or Karen or Sharon, then all of a sudden they're human. And then it becomes a lot more difficult to do that to your mother, to your brother, to your sister. And stand up and say something, damn it. If you see something, say something. You all know when something is wrong. So you want to promote the hope? I hope everybody in this room will look at anybody who is being oppressed, abused for whatever reason and say, hey, you know what? That's not right. Don't do that. And when we get that kind of courage, when one person stands up, the whole damn crowd will get up. And when you get that kind of strength, we move the needle.
Let's remember the intersectionality of it all. I am Black, I am white, I am a woman, I am a scientist. There are so many titles to give yourself. Let's not separate ourselves by race. It doesn't make any sense to me. I have things in common with someone who looks completely different from me because of our intersectionality. I think intersectionality is an incredibly important thing to embrace. It allows us to reach across barriers that we previously wouldn't have thought were breakable. And it has been the foundation for my success at Seahome. My wonderful Vice Principal, Miss Barrett, I love you. You're amazing. She's the reason I did what I did. She's the reason that I could get money from the school, that I could put on events, that I could support so many other students of color and staff of color, and it was amazing. And that was because we reached across lines, and she saw me as a student of color, and I got to see her as one of my first representations of a staff member in the LGBTQ+ community, and that was amazing for me. That was an incredibly transformative experience, to see someone who didn't look like me, but who saw me for who I am. And I think that's important, and we can all see each other for who we are if we start to break down the barriers of race and we start to get into all the other little details of who we are. You like that kind of music? Cool, I like that kind of music too. You like this sport? Amazing, I like that sport too. Like, there are so many depths to each and every one of us that are so much more important than what we look like on the outside. And let's move in that direction. I think we can, and I think we will. And we just have to commit ourselves to doing it, and it has to be a collective experience. It can't just be one person. Each person has to do that. Each person has to step outside of their comfort zone and find some, it's like the icebreakers. Icebreakers are terrible, awful. They're the worst thing in the entire world. I've hated them since I was in like 7th grade. They're awful. But they're great because you go into a class and your teacher's like, okay, go talk to someone and, say like 3 interesting facts about yourself. And it's like, well, I'm from Hawaii. Oh, really? I vacation in Hawaii every summer. Oh, really? What island? We can break it down. It takes a long time, but we can do it. And that gives me hope. And thank you guys for having me up here.
So I can see Dr. Farmer saying your time's up, but I already told him I'm gonna talk till I'm done. Okay? So I'm gonna leave you guys with one thing, and then we probably should wrap this up, because this is really an important thing. I hear people say, oh, well, conversations like this are tough. Or let me tell you guys something. You're a single mom, you lose your job, you got 2 kids at home, and you live in a neighborhood where there's gang members selling drugs. That's a tough conversation. That's a hard conversation. Somebody in your family is dying from cancer and you got to pull the plug, and then they're like, that's a tough conversation. This is not a tough conversation. This just takes some damn character, right? So stand up, be accountable as a human being, and open the dialogue. Like I just said, there's no shame in not knowing something. The shame is hiding behind all kinds of excuses because you're afraid to put yourself out there. You're going to make mistakes in this life. Make the damn mistake. The thing is, when you make it, learn from it. And then when you learn from it, each one. Teach the next person so they don't make the mistake. But until we get to the point where we can just sit down and have a conversation, right, we're always going to struggle with this. So away with that, it's a tough conversation. Start to get in your mindset, let's have the damn conversation. And then all these things that we're struggling with right now, right, they'll be gone. And we can move on to things that are really happening in the world, right? Like, I don't know, you're the damn scientist, right? Global warming and all that other stuff.
2023 was the hottest year on record by 4 global degrees. That is a lot of global degrees because that is averaging all of the countries. That's a lot of countries, people. Okay?
And it must be happening right here because these lights, I feel like I'm in a microwave.
It's rough. We can't see any of you.
All I want to do is thank everybody for taking the time out of their day to come and share with us. This was awesome. As much as I don't want to get off the stage, Dr. Farmer's, she's a little higher up the rank than I am. So if I want to keep, teaching and doing my thing, I'm going to respect that. Thank you guys very much for coming out, right? You know what? Show up for more events like this. I know the free breakfast got most of you out. But you learned a few things, hopefully, today during this conversation. For Isabella and for myself, we appreciate you. God bless. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much to Brian and Isabella for your amazing insight on how to turn hope into action. I think that was a very impactful conversation, and I'm glad that we all got to be a witness to that and hear their perspectives, because it's very important. Thank you both for your time today to converse about community in action, materializing hope. How about another round of applause for Isabella and Brian, everyone? Now, to close us out and direct us into the community service component of today, I would like to welcome my boss to the stage. Around the office, we know her as the master of multitasking and the wizard of workflow. She's someone that can turn a cute coffee break into a strategic planning session while also simultaneously being able to turn a team meeting into comedy hour, which not a lot of people can do, so props to her for that. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming to the stage Nia Gibson, the coordinator of Western's Black Student Coalition.
Hello, everyone. I'm gonna try, okay, all right, we kind of got it. I'm gonna try it one more time. Hello, everyone. How y'all feeling? How was the program? Great. I promise I will, thank you. I promise I will not be before you all long. I do not want to stand in between you all and giving back to our community, but I do want to take a moment to really publicly acknowledge actually all of the work that was put into this program today. I had the honor and the privilege of leading the Community Consortium of Cultural Events, our MLK Day Planning Committee, and I just want to take a moment to give a shout out to everyone that was a part of that planning committee. So if you can just wave your hand if you're in here. I know some folks are running around, but thank you all so much. And Chris Roselli, I don't know if Chris is in here, but without you all, this event would not be possible. I also want to take a moment to thank our wonderful MCs. They did a fantastic job today. It is beautiful to have two student leaders of our Black student unions here in Whatcom County to lead the programming, so thank you all so much for that. I also want to take time to acknowledge my team that's here, so the BSC staff, if y'all can just raise your hands, do a little wave. Thank you to my student staff for taking the day on instead of the day off to be here and work. And I want to give a thank you to our sponsors, because without you all and your contributions, today would not be possible. So let's give it up for our sponsors and all of our volunteers today. I also want to thank Tony Blackwell, so our student artist from Western. Yeah, so Tony, if you all can see the MLK images here, and we also have some stickers available during service, but Tony did all this amazing work. So I just want to thank Tony for just your artistry and being able to give back by sharing your art with us. Tony, are you here? Can you wave? Hi, thank you. And of course, I definitely want to give another thank you to Brian and Isabella, but also to Nate and Dr. Cislina for you all, for your participation in our program this morning. So let's give another round of applause for them. Okay, last but not least, I have a couple of announcements, but I want to give a thank you to the Black Hawk singers and dancers for their lovely blessing this morning. Just a quick announcement. So this evening, if you all are looking for more ways to be active in the community and to learn more about MLK and the work that we are doing as a community, Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship is having a program, Keeping the Dream Alive. It will be at 7 p.m. So please join us there this evening if you all are looking for another way to engage in community. We also had to postpone the Northwest Indian College Community Service Project today. So if you all were originally planning to go to NWIC, that will be postponed, but communication will go out for when we have that program again. But please feel free to join us downstairs as we do service together. We also have a service project at Civic Field, so if folks would like to go and get the winter shelter prepared, we have a couple spots, and we have some bands from Western that will be taking folks there to participate in that service. And last but not least, now that we have very full hearts, full stomachs, I hope still, and full minds, I want us to now get in the sense of preparing to fill our hands. Let's fill our hands with giving back to our community because as the late Congressman John Lewis said, this is a day on and not a day off. So let us continue to engage. Let us not stop the intergenerational conversation here. But if you all look around to the people to your left and to your right, you will see that we have a varying range of audience members, the young at heart. So take time to engage in that dialogue today. As we do service downstairs right in C Home, right here where we had breakfast earlier, we will have a blanket making project as well as a project to put together kits for those facing houselessness. So think about the ways that you can join with us, engage with us, take a moment to pause, and do service together to give back to our community. So thank you all so much. I will now dismiss you all to service, but let's just give everyone here again that dedicated their time and their work into putting this program together another round of applause.